there's 3 stories in Lift. There's the story of Claire having meningitis. There's the story of Kathy and her son Aaron. And then there's the story of my friend Meg, who, well, I'll just read you the story and let it be there.
Yeah.
I remember having an awful conversation once, long before I became a mother, about whether it would be worse to lose a baby, or a 10-year-old, or a 20-year-old, and so on. Why people want to think about these things, I don't know, but we do. We hover around the edges of catastrophe, trading headlines, reading memoirs about addiction and disease and abuse, watching 17 seasons of ER. I said it would hurt the most to lose a 20-year-old because you'd have loved them so much longer and your attachment would be so much more specific. Babies love everyone and everyone loves them, but 20-year-olds, they won't lean into just anyone. You have to earn any sliver of intimacy you share with them. Some pale memory of trust and connection has to hold against the callous disregard that is adolescence. And at 20, they're just on their way back to you. Now, though, for me, the most unthinkable loss would be never to have had a child in the first place. And that's what I ended up saying to Meg, your Aunt Meg, who became family when we asked her to be Claire's godmother. I don't know why Meg's single. She's crazy accomplished. Marathons, fundraising projects with Tom Brokaw, conference calls with Bono. I have to pause and say that Meg read every iteration of this book, and when I added that line, she called and she's like, it's all fine, it's good. I just want to say I only had one conference call with Bono. And I was like, that's close enough for me. She's like, that's fine, but I just also want to say I literally didn't say a word. I was like, that's right, I'm pretty sure Bono's not going to call and be like, hey, Oprah, remember how much fun you had catching James Fry? She almost went to ballet school instead of college, and she still has dancer ass. She has a master's from the Kennedy School and worked for the World Bank. She reads The Economist and People. So that's not why I love her. I love her because she gave her friend most of her savings when the financial markets imploded. In fact, she insisted on it. I love her because she pinches mold off her bread instead of tossing the loaf. She bakes casseroles and always sends thank you notes like the well-raised girl from Topeka that she is. I love her because she has photographs all over her apartment of African villagers from her Peace Corps years, but none of the frames match and they're hung willy-nilly and all the nails and wires show. Though I must say that I was recently in her apartment and she seems to have fixed them. I have shamed her. She has shamed me into wearing thong underwear. I love the way she is, like and ever done. And I love the way she is with her sister and brothers, how they tease each other and roll their eyes and say, duh, but keep coming back, helping with cable modems, flat tires, moods. I love that they're going to puke when they read all this nice stuff about Meg and start calling her something totally juvenile, like mold pincher. I meet people at cocktail parties all the time, women who are moody or mean-spirited, and then their charming husband comes up with a nice fresh drink for them, and I always think, what does she have that Meg doesn't? Why does this woman get someone to sleep next to? Someone to call when the dryer breaks? Someone to bitch about to her friends? Meg is so much better. I'd marry her in a second. Sometimes when I'm with you girls, I kind of shake my head and say Meg's name out loud, almost like a prayer, which means that I'm thinking about how unfazed she'd be by the Play-Doh in your teeth, or how much she would like the fairy hut you built, or the way you made yourself a math worksheet and then filled in all the answers and gave yourself a big A+. I want her to have this thing I have that's so ordinary and tedious and aggravating, and then so divine. It's no small thing to encourage someone to become a single parent, to take on the bottomless work and cost and heartache that comes with children. Dad thought I might not want to push it. He thought Meg would do fine with the logistics and frustrations, the blocking and tackling, as he put it. He was more worried about the unknowns. What if she adopts and the parents show up later and want the kid back? What if her child turns out to have learning disabilities or a genetic disease or deep, unresolvable anger? What if some future boyfriend walks away saying he really loves her kid, but he wants to have his own? That conversation slowed me a bit. But then, Dad's a man. And he was talking about regret. I just couldn't imagine it would come to that. Mothers never come to regret their children, right? Not the mother of the trisomy baby who is born with his intestines on the outside and only lives for weeks. Not the mother of the schizophrenic on America's Most Wanted. Not the mother of the 56-year-old who lives at home and drinks in the morning. No mother regrets her child, right? The weekend Meg turned 40, we drove to Tomales Bay. On the ride up, we got talking about our first road trip 12 years before to Lake Tahoe. You know the first thing I liked about you, I said? You blush. I don't know anyone who blushes. She laughed. I don't, and I think it's so funny because you're such a competent person. I mean, you're not silly or girly or even remotely giddy, you know? Yeah, although, she said, glancing at a CD in her car door pocket. Yes, there is that. That's always troubled me. Meg is the only person I know who listens, unironically, to John Denver. She also loved the Titanic soundtrack. But other than those two flaws, which are probably linked by some kind of rogue gene, Meg is solid. You know what I liked about you, Meg said? You didn't hold anything back. You were just right out there. But I was holding something back. Partly because we are, all of us, always holding things back. And partly because I was nervous, afraid that as soon as I said what I wanted to say, she'd think I'd given up on her chances for marriage. Or worse, that I'd never believed they were particularly good to begin with. I have something I want to say, my voice cracked. I want to say that as much as I love Edward and love being married, which I really do, there's no relationship that has been more. I know where you're going, she said. Should I go there anyway? Yes. So I know this isn't the way it's supposed to be, and I know I can't say what it'd be like to be a single mom. We were both facing forward, looking at the road. But given everything I do know, no matter how hard it is, how stressful or lonely, still, I would not want to leave this earth without being a mother. She nodded. And you, I think you in particular, were born to be somebody's mother. She hit the blinker and switched lanes. I rode out the silence. I had said enough. I think, she said through tears, I think I could be a really good mom. We sat with that for a minute, and then she added, I went to a sperm bank website. You did? I did.